Hello Brain Shakers, welcome to the Brain Shakers Academy. Your host here, Brave Alistair. I'm excited because today we're looking at the Apgar scoring system, which is a system that is applied or utilized when the baby has then been born. Now, the Apgar scoring system was coined by Dr. Virginia Apgar, who was an anesthesiologist at that time, somewhere around the 1952s, and it was merely coined to help in determining when to intervene and help the neonate or the newborn baby to then initiate respirations, and also would then determine and help in ascertaining what type of resuscitative measures to then put in place. There has been a chain of events. It is still an applicable tool that we're using on a scoring system, but then now the focus is not on noting when to intervene, but the focus is also on knowing that resuscitation precedes the scoring system, meaning that if a baby has been born and needs resuscitation before the 1 minute at which the scoring system is done, then resuscitation should then take place before we even get to the 1 minute for scoring. So the neonate or the newborn is scored at 1 minute and at 5 minutes. For all those that then score less than 7 at 5 minutes, then they graduate to the expanded Apgar scoring system, where they will then be monitored at intervals of 5 minutes until it's 20 minutes. Now let's quickly score and see the parameters that we'll look at when we're looking at the Apgar scoring system. Okay, so we have basically 5 main parameters that we're going to be looking at, and number 1 is the heart rate or the pulse, and then number 2 we have respiration or the breathing, because we understand obviously as they come out they tend to have fluid in their lungs, and they have to have those inflation breaths in order for them to help to get rid of the fluid in their lungs. Now, I do look at the adaptation to extrauterine life and how the babies then get rid of that fluid in their lungs. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of that. And the third parameter that we're looking at is the activity. How is the muscle tone as the baby has been born? And then we'll be looking at grimacy. Grimacy is basically the response to stimulation. And then lastly, and seemingly the least of them all, is appearance. So appearance basically will just be how is the presentation in terms of color. It may be a little bit difficult for you to ascertain in a dark-skinned baby, but then you should be able to obviously use either the palms or the soles of the feet to try and ascertain the appearance as well, so that you have an appropriate scoring system. Suffice also to make mention is that the scoring system is done at 1 minute and then at 5 minutes. So for all those that then score for less than 7 over 10 at 5 minutes, then they graduate to the expanded Apgar scoring system, which you can continue up to about 20 minutes at 5 minutes intervals. Now let's quickly score and see what is important when it comes to the Apgar scoring system. So it's a scoring system that goes from 0, 1, and then until 2. So when we're looking at the heart rate, for an absent heart rate, then we are going to score it 0. So this is when the heart rate is absent. And for a heart rate that is then less than 100, so we are going to score it 1. For a heart rate that is above 100, then we'll score it a 2, because we want the heart rate to obviously be above 100. And the heart rate remains one of the most important parameters that you need to look out for, because when it comes to the breathing, initially when they come in, that's when they have been delivered, that's when now they initiate those respirations. But they should already have a heart rate with them. Now, the breathing here, if there is absent breathing, the baby is delivered and the baby is not breathing, it's absent, so we are going to score that baby a 0. And if there is slow and irregular breaths being noted, more or less like gasps, then we are going to score them 1. So we are going to put slow and irregular. Okay, but if then the baby then is delivered and then begins to cry and shows you all those motions very active, then it means that the breathing is also adequate and okay. So here you're obviously going to have a good cry here, active motion there. Then when we come to look at the third parameter, which is activity, here we are basically looking at the muscle tone. When the baby has been delivered and you look at the baby, do they have some tone in them, or the baby is actually limp? There's no tone in the in their presentation, in their general appearance. Then if they are limp, then it is going to be a 0 here. Limp meaning that there is absent tone, or you can't actually tell if they have tone. Then in the second column here, which is 1, we are going to be scoring 1 if they have some muscle tone within them. There is some flexion that is actually happening there. Then you are going to say some flexion. You're going to score them 1. And if they are very active, here they have active motion. Okay, active motion. Then you're going to score them a 2. And when we come to the fourth parameter, which is grimacy, grimacy is just a response to stimulation. If this is absent, then you will score them a 0. Okay? If this is absent, they score a 0. If there is some grimacy, then they will score a 1. If the baby then coughs or sneezes or is crying, then you take that the grimacy. There's also response to a stimuli here. So here they will cry, they can sneeze, they can cough, then you can score them a 2. Now, when it comes to appearance here, if they come out, they are completely blue or they are completely pale, then you will be scoring that baby a 0. So completely blue, or the baby appears all pale, then they will score a 0. But if they are acrocyanotic, that means that the body is pink and they have blue extremities. So they have a pink body here, and then they have blue extremities, then you will be scoring them a 1. But if they are nicely and completely pink, then they will score a 2. Now, because we have 5 parameters that we're looking at, and the highest score being a 2, then this will give us a total of 10. So any baby that then scores between 7 to 10, that is a reassuring Apgar score. And we are saying that they are going to be scored at 1 minute, and they'll be scored also at 5 minutes. So if they do score anything less than 7 at 5 minutes, then they go into the expanded Apgar scoring system, where you're going to continue to assess them every 5 minutes until you get to the 20 minutes mark. So that is the Apgar scoring system, and it does help us to identify also the care that we're going to then provide depending on the needs as you do that resuscitation, if you have to do any resuscitation. But this gives you a general overview, and it must also be made mention that you have resuscitation now taking precedence over the scoring system. That means that if you are waiting to score until 1 minute and then the baby needs resuscitation, then we're missing it out. So it has to be resuscitation going in even before you get to the 1 minute if you need to resuscitate the baby. So resuscitation now takes precedence over the scoring. So that is about the Apgar scoring system, identified and coined by Dr. Virginia Apgar somewhere around the 1950s. Now, if you did find this particular video helpful in understanding the Apgar scoring system, then don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up, and don't hesitate as well to drop comments in the comments section. Follow the page for more and subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is the Brain Shakers Academy. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.